Okay. I know the ads are still running, but I want to get started on this. I'm not messing around. Okay. So, what has changed since yesterday? Mojo, good morning. So, first thing that I'm trying this. I believe it's probably the right way to do this, just from an organizational standpoint. The first thing I've done is I've broken out a repo specifically for the Angular client. All right. So Liquid Sky client ng. Right. It's just the entire client app lifted. I've verified it built, and then I'm testing a workflow. So I've created a release branch, and that has allowed me to at least run a build script that I got off GitHub. When I say GitHub, I mean literally GitHub. I don't mean uh, a repo somewhere. So what this is going to do, so after playing around with Docker Hub yesterday, I realized that okay, GitHub offers their own registry, so we could use that. Not that one. Not that one. I've got so many things open. Where's the one that? Where's the one that? That's not the one. That ain't the one. Oh, this one. Ahmed, hello. How's it doing? Happy Friday to you too. So I've taken this. Now this is meant to use the token to log in, and I've created the token. It's going to do the things against the repo. So when I do the release, it's going to do this, and it's saying username and password required. However, here we go. So here's Liquid Sky ng. So CR part is a secret in the repo. This is fine. It's my account. The registry, this end of registry is here. GitHub container registry and the repo. So check out repository, extract my metadata. So check out repository work fine. Log into container registry fails. Got a feeling this is going to be a pattern along this way. An interesting thing is I actually clicked explain the error, and now it feeds a message to a Copilot for me saying, make a plan and analyze the logs of this failure and look at related files to explain the error. The job failed due to an error with Docker login. The job failed. Ensure that the secrets, Docker username and Docker password are correctly set up. Well, I didn't use a secret for Docker username, right? So I don't know what it analyzed there. Navigate to secrets and variables actions. Because I'm not logging into Docker Hub. As far as I'm aware, I'm not logging into Docker Hub. So check out repository, log into container registry. So the only thing I can think there, that's a specific commit as well, isn't it? Oh, that's interesting. Wow. It navigates to the actual actions for you. Well, that's a useful feature. So this is this is that. So that's obviously resolved v1, right? So I figured I'd use GitHub Container Registry to start with and see how that goes. Obviously, that comes with some other challenges. Is that on the other side, well, it doesn't come with challenges because no matter what I do, I'm going to need a token of some form. I don't have any issues with YAML. I mean, it's perfectly fine. So I've got to get over this hump. So password, this is exactly all I've changed is this piece here, but that's not. I can do this without. So if I go to environments, staging, right, CR path, there's the CR path. So it should work just fine. So it's a token against this. Here comes the 15 commits because you have to make minor changes to this one file. It's fine. I can also do it now. Now it's in the release branch. I can also do it on the release branch, edit it, and then delete the release branch afterwards, and only make one commit. So I can make it look like I got it in one. Morning, Delta. How you doing? So I'm not entirely sure where I need to change things here. Is step number one, right? Because I've got this is fine, but it's telling me that the username and password is incorrect or required, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll always know. Not if I edit the VODs as well. How much effort should I go through to make it look like I'm really good at what I do? We need to get over this hump. Even if I change this to Docker Hub, it's still got to be. I've still got to do something similar. So, and I'm not putting my username and password even as secrets inside of GitHub. That's not what I want to be doing. So regardless of whether I use GitHub container registry or so you get a container registry by default with your GitHub account, and it by default follows the privacy of the repo. So if you want to publish packages on a public repo, you can do, and that's the way that works. So they don't make it very obvious though. I really think they should make it more obvious that you've got a package registry right there. Although I suppose that might upset Docker a little bit. But either way, username and password required. Username and password required. What do I do here? Docker login action when using token. Is my token. My rent hasn't gone up yet. Hoping that continues. We rent a house out to a young couple, and we haven't raised the rent in 3 years, and they're paying about 50% of the market price. But they don't complain about our stuff still being in the house, so in the garage. Stuff there this way, so get up, continue. Yeah, yeah, for an apartment, yeah, that's not bad. So log into artifact registry, login action. It's not Dependabot though. I'm not using Dependabot. Is my username the wrong thing? Username GitHub actor. Yeah, it's deliberately set to GitHub actor, so it's meant to be the username of me, and that's meant to be this registry up here because that's an environment variable we set locally. So it's deliberately configured that way. It's not like it's insert username here. Secrets inherit. Whoa. According to this document, oh, 10%. That's 10%. That's ridiculous. Wow. That would be passing inputs and secrets to a reusable workflow. Jobs with config path, secrets inherit. Why? Workflow file. But that's not. Okay. So where does that go? Secrets inherit with. So that's jobs. That's at that level. That's not. I've not needed that before. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Sets of permissions granted to the GitHub token for actions in this job. Hold on. Let's make sure I have those permissions. So I'm gonna go deal with that off screen, obviously. Environments. So I need to create a different token. You can't change the token. So this still uses classic tokens. Yeah. Hold on. Let's make sure I have permissions. Tells me somewhere. Right, new token. So So we need to have contents read. Doesn't it have contents read by default though? And write packages. Attestations is not a thing. I assume that's all covered by write packages. Write discussion. Yeah, there's no specific other than write packages. There's no specific permissions. They keep saying that rent control is bad though, and we should get rid of it. And there's some weird logic about it. I mean, I think rent control is there so people can't force you out, right? It's capped at what they can, how it can increase, so that they can't be like, oh, now it's 25% more. So I get why rent control might be a thing. I don't know. I even in the UK when I rented, I always had really fair landlords. So I suppose I've been very lucky throughout my my journey. Gotcha, Mojo. Change subject. Gotcha. I can't. So there's no um there's no so what I've just validated is there is no permission specifically around that piece, right? So there's my environment variable. Yeah, but I've changed it. It is the workflow file references CR path. No, it's not a GitHub token. So, I mean, it's basically that. Or oh yeah, edit helps. So sets the permissions granted to CR Pat for the actions in this job. So, but you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. There is no, for reference, there is no way of because you can only use the old token method, the classic token method or whatever it's called. For this, so to get this, you go to developer settings in GitHub in your account, and you go to personal access tokens, and you go to fine grained tokens. Tokens classic. There is no alternative in the new stuff. And I'm just gonna validate that 100%. Generate new token, and only select repositories. Liquid. Again, I'm doing it off screen purely because I do not want to be risking showing stuff. If anyone has any insights into this. Okay, so attestations right. contents read. Oh, this one's different. Packages. ID token. So this one, so the new style fine-grained personal access tokens does have contents, does have attestations. It does not have packages though. Code space, followers. Does not have packages. So we're going to try it. It has contents, it has attestations. It does not have an ID token. Where would ID token be? Because those two need to be set to right. So yeah, that's all account permissions. Webhooks, variables, secrets, repository security, pull requests, pages, metadata, merge queues, issues, environments, discussions, deployments. No. Packages. Permissions, that's what I want. Packages. Billing. There's no packages permission. Contents, repository contents, commits, branches, downloads, releases, and merges. Read only. That makes sense. Commit statuses, code secrets, code spaces, code scanning, attestations, administration, actions. So there's no GHRC stuff. Well, let's try that. GH container registry. Generate token. Okay, let's move this back over here temporarily. Discard those changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change. I change that variable to be the pat rather than the thing and see if I get a different error. So just for reference, it does recognize in the secrets that crpat is available as an environmental secret for this in that environment. So it goes back to actions, and now we should be able to go in here, rerun jobs. So again, there is no permission in GitHub, either classic tokens or or the new fine grained that has contents. Oh no, it has packages or ID token. Absolutely zero. So I don't know where that comes from. Okay, username and password again. And it would be my username. It would make sense that it's my username, right? Um, Docker login action using access token. I apologize for the GitHub. GitHub token to authenticate. Use the GitHub token. Is that a standard one? That would be good to know. The other stuff I saw. So let's try that again. Let's go in here, workflow file, edit. Let's do GitHub token. So then do you not need an actual pat? Use, is that an actual thing? Yep. It's an actual thing. You don't need it. Awesome. Hey, Mark. Doing good. How about yourself? Interesting. We just had some success. That's awesome. So there we go. There's the lesson learned. GitHub token is an actual thing. I should have just copied and pasted the script 100% and it'd have been fine. So Dota, I apologize. So what to do after this? Well, after this, we're going to need, we will need that token anyway, the one I just created, because we're going to use that to get Pulumi to pull that image and so the thing that's weird there is when you're logging into your container registry, you don't need it. It's not like if this was, oh no, it failed. Why did it fail? Failed to compute cache key. Boo, boo. Output location client app. But I tested this. Did I change that after the fact? So yeah, I saw stuff that told me to do otherwise. So anyway, that doesn't really make a difference. But what makes a difference now is so that has to match that. Yes, if I'm pulling foundation in the GitHub action, it needs a path. So that's how it works for. Yeah, this is just front end. I don't need. So if you're building Liquid Sky and you are um um if you're building Liquid Sky and in the GitHub action and it needs to go to get extra repositories, right? Then you will need the path. By the way, if you haven't been there before, Mark's channel is he does Gran Turismo primarily, but other games as well. It's a really nice, good, chill place to hang out with adults. Super nice guy and very worth going checking out the channel. And as with YouTube, you have to get to 500 subscribers. So yeah, so I've learned that the order matters. So I have to start Restream up once I've started streaming. It will not connect to YouTube unless I start it after I've started streaming. But then the thing is with Restream bot, it tries to change the title of the stream as well. So if ever my stream says started with Restream, just let me know because I won't realize. Okay, so I made a mistake there. That we can roll back. That was a mistake. Correct. Package name. Output path. Output path name or Liquid Sky Light. So considering I always develop, so considering Liquid Sky is being built, and I've always, since I started doing this, been building the client in here. There's never actually been a dependency on the client being in the main repo. So I figured I'd try it, and I think I'm going to leave it as is. It kind of makes sense because it does fit with my entire idea of the client doesn't. I'm not using back end pieces for that front end piece. I'm not. It's all independent and uses GraphQL. I'd still love to see a good BFF example, but yeah. Okay, so now we need to do that merge, otherwise, because now it won't fire on that branch. No, I want main into release right now. It's an odd direction, but yeah. Merge pull request, confirm merge. I can always wipe this out again afterwards. Once I've resolved it, I can clear this repo out and do all this again if I choose to. Again, this is the initial history. I would imagine if you look at any repository, you're going to find a very messy initial history. So to Mojo's point of the 10 commits to updated file. Today's one line community repo structures. Warning: karma is greater than glob. I gotta get some serious work done this morning if I want to attend community day today. And another good news, right as I book the appointment for the MRI, my knee feels better. So I'm walking okay. Ads are going to start in 3 minutes. Ownership of critters has moved to the Nux team. What was that saying? He will be maintaining the project going forward. If you'd like to keep using critters, please switch to the active and maintain fork. Dino beasties. Failed to persist attestation. Feature not available for user-owned private repositories. To enable this feature, please make this repository public. Oh, yeah, I don't need to. Okay, so attestation. We don't want to do that. Right? These are never going to be public repos. Not for this part anyway. So if I was, if for whatever reason I make Liquid Sky open source as an entire thing, the client I'll probably not. Yeah, I saw. But okay. Well, it's used in the Angular. Oh, really? So does that mean it didn't work because the attestation? So how do you look at your, so this is why I think that container registries, like, because if you go into your settings, there's no packages, right? Because packages are at your account level. Ah, there we go. There we go. That's why they're at your account level. Wow, one download already. There we go. There's our package. So now we have an address. So what we do now is we go to Pulumi. Sign in. Love watching this because it makes me realize that some of the brightest minds even struggle with the YAML. Why? Who have you seen struggling with YAML? Is that a compliment? I'm not sure. Because I would not consider myself a bright mind. Okay. So we have this dev stack in Pulumi, right? And right now it's just an empty 15 commits last week just to get our app to build and deploy Azure. GitHub Actions are a weird combination though. So YAML aside, right? YAML tabbing and whatnot aside, GitHub Actions are a weird challenge because most of them are pretty much out of the box, ready to go with very little tweaks. And it's figuring out what those tweaks are. Like building a GitHub action for yourself it's rare. The only thing I want to do in the action for Liquid Sky is figure out how to do the fallback branch on the lights are on up there. Yeah, the fallback branch for to development if it doesn't have one with the same name. I don't think you'd be able to read that. It wouldn't matter if you could because it doesn't have any numbers that matter on it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, this is fun. We're going to use the AI. How do I deploy? Create a script to no. I'll do this. I'll do this properly. No. So one of the reasons I like doing this is because I don't have to play with YAML, aforementioned YAML. If you're using, if you're messing around with writing Helm charts and stuff, then there's a whole lot of YAML. This takes that away. Rambling Geek, good afternoon, just in time. So, to catch up, what we've done is we have created a client repository, and we have just created our first package. Right, so now in the packages in GitHub, we have our first private package of our client app. So the goal of this is to basically use Pulumi to deploy an instance to Kubernetes cluster, which is here, and get that, basically get the Liquid Sky login screen. That will be success number one. What's the score with the gaming PC? How's your brother taking it? I've got the parts. I've got a new power supply, and I bought a new motherboard, memory, CPU. I've got to pull the PC apart and see if there's anything particularly wrong with it. If there's not, then I can send the other pieces back if I choose to, or swap them out and have spares. Maybe it could just be a CMOS reset. It could be all sorts of things. It could be the power supply has gone bad. Is it delivering the right power? It could be the motherboard fried. So I got to debug that. It's just taking the time to do it. So maybe Sunday I get the chance to do that. The benefit of having bought so many PC parts over the last couple of years is I can tag together a new, a relatively usable gaming machine for playing tomorrow. So, yeah. Okay. So, Pulumi. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some resources, and by default, you need, from what I understand, again, I'm trying to build my knowledge here, right? I'm going to need a deployment. A deployment is a definition of what is going to be deployed. A service, the actual running instance of a deployment, I believe, or telling it to run this instance. And then an ingress, which is going to specify for Kubernetes, hey, by the way, this can get to this port. Right. Well, so what we do is we say build what resources, how do I deploy an Angular application? How did I do this yesterday? I did this yesterday and I can't remember. Build the so that's yeah. So that's already generated enough to say, here you go. there's the Pulumi code for an S3 bucket with a CloudFront distribution, and here's that. How do I deploy this to K8S? Right. Thanks, Mark. And again, okay, if you like Gran Turismo and some variety games, Mark's stream is a great place to go and hang out. I would highly recommend going there. I was amazed at just how active Gran Turismo is on YouTube. It's such a more Twitch has nothing compared to YouTube on Gran Turismo. Okay, Docker build. Create new. So that's getting me to the point where that is. And then it will give me, here you go. So now it will give me a deployment, the image name, right? Which is going to be that, right? And everything else. So beauty of this is if I do this, project name, Liquid Sky Client NG, Angular client for Liquid Sky, stack name dev. I don't want to create a brand new project out of it. No, I don't want that. Oh, you did this better the other day. Stacks, Liquid Sky, dev. It did a way better job of doing this the other day. It actually put it inside here and created all the resources for me. So I don't know what I asked for differently, but it created everything within here by just hitting go on that piece. However, we don't need to do that. So what we can do is we can copy that. And I believe, why won't you start, Fleet? Because ultimately, this is going to be a full stack of everything, right? It's going to be all the services and stuff, but baby steps. If we can get to the point where we can see the website publicly, that would be a really great first step, because that means that I can get the DNS set up, I can get all the reverse proxy stuff set up, I can get all that to protect my IP address and all those sorts of fun things. And then when we can see the site, it's just a case of getting all the other pieces, the databases, the Kafka instances. Now, from Kafka perspective, what I want to do is I actually want to get the second Kubernetes little box set up, get that running, and then deploy 2 Kafka nodes, 2 Kafka brokers, and experiment with, scaling that way. Well, not scaling, but yeah, I suppose scaling, and then validate that, I can turn one off and the app still works, and I can bring it back up and the app now has more reliability. That would be great. Ideally, I want 3, right? And this is why Kafka deployed, self-deployed and hosted Kafka is not a good choice because it is a configuration and a maintenance thing unto itself, and it's expensive to do it that way. So if this goes to the public, from a reliability perspective, the only real way of doing that is to use something like Confluent Cloud, unless you have someone specifically dedicated to managing Kafka. It's the one it's a major downside of that piece. Okay, so what's the way of, what I'm asking here? Pulumi, generating. So I can go to the command line, cd d dev Pulumi cd liquid sky. So this is where the configuration is for this stack, right? Pulumi. So that's a stack. We've got the project. Opens the current stack in the Pulumi console. Manage stacks, manage configuration, create a new Pulumi project. It's not creating a new Pulumi project because this is the project, right? So I don't want to create a brand new one. Get started with Pulumi deployments. Create a new project. No, that's not what we want to do. Pulumi Cloud. Get started before you begin. Blah, blah, blah. Configure Kubernetes. Done that. Done that. Review project. Okay. Pulumi YAML. So let's do this. Being that Fleet won't open, we'll use code. So there's Pulumi YAML. There's Pulumi dev. That Pulumi YAML looks a little thin, doesn't it? We don't have index.ts. Index.ts defines your stack resources. Okay, so liquid sky config. So now index.ts. So that's suggesting that this here goes in there. Now I'm remembering seeing Mr. Anhorn doing this and being like, well, that's a whole lot of stuff. Why do you need an update again? I updated this yesterday. Like GitHub Copilot. So this is liquid sky. We need to get a name. And then this is that registry. Oh. Release. So there's our image name. Create a Kubernetes deployment. So it's going to take that with the image name. Create a Kubernetes service, cluster IP 8080. Create a Kubernetes ingress. And there we go. So we should do now Pulumi. Oh, let's see if it works. Looks like the Pulumi SDK has not been installed. Have you run Pulumi install? Dev Pulumi. This is related to npm. Not being able to find a file. How do you create a package JSON out of? So I deleted this and I imported the configuration from Pulumi. So this needs a hook to the website, right? So you can see everything from the Pulumi site. That's the way it's meant to be. Configuration, tags, readme, updates. Right, so it knows I already failed that one. Deployments, settings, delete stack. Okay. Um, so I assume new file package.json. How do you create new? What does a package JSON look like? You think I'd know this part, wouldn't you? Name, scripts, dependencies. Liquid sky. Don't need scripts, I suppose. Dependencies. Pulumi. Kubernetes. Pulumi. I find this stuff really fun, to be honest. Pulumi Docker. Okay, let's do that. Now let's do Pulumi install. Let's assume that's good enough. I find it fun. I do like doing this stuff, like figuring this stuff out and getting this deployment working will be a massive step forward. And I like tinkering with this stuff for certain. I don't like necessarily doing it on stream because I don't have an idea what I'm doing. So then not only do I have to worry about, am I going to show something I shouldn't show? Am I going to do something stupid that someone is going to pick up on? But I also have to worry about, okay, if people are giving me advice, I've got to filter the advice and understand when I don't know something that I'm, going to this expected type comes from the property build, which is declared here on the type. Does that mean that's going to fail? Pulumi up. So what that's doing now is if we go to here, oh no, it is going to fail. Why expected type comes from build? So what is that going to be? Ah, it's going to be an object. It's changed. You mean the AI didn't help me? Ridiculous. It got it wrong. Gonna open Docker file, relative path, Docker file, create Docker file system, gonna find the file specified. Is everyone giving advice that work for them doesn't translate? Well, it's not like I'm happy to take advice, especially on this stuff. I'm happy to have ideas, and I understand that sometimes it's what worked for someone, what worked. It's not that that's the problem. It's I have to filter every single piece of advice because if someone comes in that I haven't talked to very often and gives a piece of advice, maybe that advice it's got something in it that could give away something that they don't realize, or maybe they do, right? Malicious intent. I don't assume it, but it can happen. But I've got to think harder about everything. When I'm working in the C# code, I'm comfortable enough that I'm not going to just do something dumb because someone says, "Hey, you should use this method" or whatever, right? Yeah, that's the concern is when I'm doing this stuff, I have to struggle. It's more struggle stream than it is anything else. Could not open Docker file at relative path. Okay, so this is the problem now of how do we access that remotely? This is great if this image is public, but it's not public. That's by design, right? So Pulumi use Docker image with credentials. How to pull from a private registry. So this is because Docker image. So this needs to have credentials, right? Image name. So rather than me keep going flick back and forth, I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to try and find some resources. Provider. So they have deployment image pull secrets. That's a deployment. Image pull policy. Nope, that's not a thing. So, but being that theirs doesn't even define image, to pull. Okay. So in the context, but hold on. Image pull secrets there. Okay. GitHub container registry. So we can define. How am I going to do this then? Settings, integrations. That's personal access. That's my personal access token, so I can reference it. General. Stacks. Deployments, updates. So okay, I get it. Define Pulumi secret. Pulumi has a secrets tool. Creating secrets programmatically, calling Pulumi secret. There's a secrets CLI. I think it's IaC or something like that. I think they have a tool called IaC. Yeah. Manage environment, secrets, and configuration. IaC, env set, help. Okay. So we can say IaC env ls. Okay, default staging. IaC and get default staging. Okay, IaC and set default staging. Path would be GitHub container registry pat. I'm going to move that off screen. I mean, the very worst you could do is if you get that secret, you can pull that image and you would have access to the compiled client code. So I'm not panicked about it. However, secret. So GHCR pat. IaC and get default staging. So now it's encrypted. It's a secret. It knows it's secret. So there we go. So now in our Pulumi configuration, we can configure the secret. So we can do Docker image. Create the Docker provider. Const. GHCR bat. Address. Don't worry about that in a second. That's that. That's that. That's that. Address. Hold on. Registry auth. It's close, but it's not close enough, right? Address. GHCR. So they're saying it's an array of objects. There you go. GHCR. So then you use that in here in the image. In the image, you can do provider is Docker provider, right? And that should allow me to pull the image, and now everything else should work. He says with confidence. Pulling me up. Oh. Cannot find open Docker file, relative path Docker file. Cannot open Docker file. So where do I do Docker? Where's Docker file expected? That's the question. Image name. So there's the image. So deployment uses the image. Oh no, I don't need that, do I? Because I've got this to use as a provider. Is the secret going to be different for the other backend code? No, no. So this provider, once it's configured, would be used for all the images because they all get published to the same um, the same uh, package repository, or rather container registry. Um, this is the best practice to keep secrets out of code. You can manage secrets using Pulumi Secret Manager. But that's suggesting Dockerfile null, right? Is that what it's asking? But we don't need a Docker file. Why would we need a Docker file? We're pulling an image. No, because that's could not open what Docker file are we using? Oh, we don't need to build it. What, at what point do we need to? Yeah, we don't need to build it. Well, I didn't know it could actually do the build as well. That'd be different. That's totally different. Hey, Phil Samuel, how you doing? Dang it. Could not open Docker file a relative path. But I don't need to build a Docker file. No, no, I'm not messing around with this is the I need to learn this stuff. Now's the right time to learn it. I've done locally hosted. So when I've done this before, I have had a locally hosted registry. I put the registry on the Kubernetes box, right? So it had its own registry available. That's great. But as this stands, once we get to the point where we're deploying things like Control Tower and those clients and stuff, I want to be able to make sure that it doesn't matter as long as we've got access, we're able to push it and deploy it. So this this is worth going through. Um, Deployment, container, service. So this is the deployment. Replicas 3, metadata. Yeah. We only need one pod. LS isn't going to be 100% on-prem. No. Even becomes a product, even if even if it becomes a product hosted on these Kubernetes boxes, its deployment and stuff will still be done cloud-based. And it could still use Kafka Confluent Cloud as its Kafka provider. Go total Google on the solution. Um, why is Pulumi asking for Dockerfile? I give it an image. I'm not trying to build an image. Pulumi, specify an existing Docker image. I'm starting to think that that isn't needed. And that's all that's needed. I think that's because I can build the image at the same time. I don't think I want to do that. But now the provider is going to be weird. So containers. Spec. So what's going to specify? Does this take an object or? Nope, that's a string. Or string. Container image. Container. So their example container. Image name. Oh. Containers. So if we do const client container equals new docker.container. That's that. Then these fields here go here. And then internal, external 80. I need a new Docker file. So it looks like we can build the Docker image. We don't want get the Docker image. Container. So it looks like we can do that. I can say client container, right? There's our deployment. No. Container is not assignable to import container. Or I just could be completely wrong. So but then they are saying that you can do so that image name is image name. And then you can do that. I like how the documentation doesn't match. Keep. You don't like that, do you? Object literal may only specify known property. So that's. Yeah. Just worry about that later. Keep locally false is in the build context. That's not Nginx image. That's liquid sky client. Image is image name is image name. Client image. That's that. That's not that. Image is ah that. It's repetitive, but it's fine. There's the image. There's a container. Now, how do we specify the container in the deployment? Adding container to deployment. Pulumi. Yeah. I'm not sure how you write a Medium article and call it mastering anything. I'm not sure you can master something in the course of a bunch of code snippets. So I think you have to do this properly, right? I need to understand not only how to do um what all this means, like what is a deployment, what is a container, what is an image, what is an ingress, all those sorts of things. I need to understand what those mean to be doing this effectively. I understand the basics so far. I understand what I'm reading, but that doesn't mean I'm going to master it. So how do I not? Container is not assignable to input container. So client container. Can I do that? No. Spec input container array. So their example stops there. It doesn't go beyond um go beyond that. Uh, adding container to deployment. Deployment. This is definitely challenging. So I apologize if I'm looking constantly to my right, but I'm trying to not have the screen flash up and back. I can't control when it's going to be a bright white screen or whether it's going to be, so I'd rather do it off screen. Hold on. Mushroom is BSing your boss and your coworkers that you know what you're doing. So, hold on. So they have the concept of remote image. That's interesting. Name is that. Then they have a container where that is image ID. Interesting. Or that says that should be client image dot latest, but that's not actually a thing. So again, documentation and APIs changing all the time is an interesting thing. I'm not worried about volumes right this second. I'm not worried about, okay, so I can see how to do Pulumi interpolation. That's a container. So how do I do deployment? How does a deployment relate to a container? I'm going to tell the story of a friend that answered the interview question. What is social competence with? But to lie and manipulate others to do what you want. Sorry. I mean, uh, that's an interesting way to answer that. How does a container relate to a deployment? So this is a Kubernetes thing, not a Pulumi thing. They need to understand. A deployment manages a set of pods to run an application workload. A container is a ready-to-run software package containing everything needed to run an application. Containers are intended to be stateless. Right. So the container is... hold on. Let's see if let's see if this builds. So that, in theory, sets that up anyway. So how does a deployment... this is replicas of that. So let's see if it actually comes up. Pulling me up. You didn't get the job, surprisingly. You should obviously lied more during the interview. Yeah. Running program failed with an unhandled, unable to compile TypeScript, couldn't find deployment, name deployment. So there we go. Where's deployment mentioned? Here. The beauty of this is if it comes up, I can bring it down, but as it's like temporary. Who failed, not successfully created by Kubernetes API server. Invalid meta name. A DNS labels consist of whatever specified. An open string. App name. Project Liquid Sky. It might be close. Oh. Do you perform this update? Yeah, sure, why not? Dang it. Unable to read Docker image into resource, unable to pull image. Error pulling image. We got close though. So there you go. There's our resources immediately there. So we've got the Kubernetes resource, Docker, provider, the stack, and the service. And if we go to here, I think this actually just updated. Connect to cluster. So this is actually the little bots in my room. I mean, it is an interesting way to answer the question, right? What is social competence? The ability to lie, manipulate others to do what you want, and then not being good enough at it to... Yeah. So there's our services with some warnings, obviously. Endpoints. So now if we do Pulumi down, all that should come away, which should be good. Do you want to perform this destroy? Yes, I do. There you go. So now all that should have gone. Yep, endpoint slice, endpoints. That's the Kubernetes. I think is that the manager? Yeah, that is, I think. Management port. But either way, and this should have all cleared from here, yeah. Okay. So we've got no resources. So is that Pat the problem? Is the question. So if you're new to the stream and you're watching me do deployment stuff, if it's of any interest, feel free to chat, to ask questions, to see where I am. I'm trying to deploy an application that I've been building for about a year, and this next sequence of streams is all going to be about deploying this. So it's going to go as long as it needs to go for us to be able to deploy Liquid Sky to a Kubernetes instance and have us able to log into that instance and do what we need to do to track the items. But Kubernetes is not something that I am very, very familiar with, and it's going to take its time. Okay. So the deployment is what's going to set up the pods. So I'm okay with it as long as it can build things, but it's not pulling this. GHCR.io. So that's the primary challenge right this second. Right. How do we get that to pull? Let's pull this back over here. IaC. C and that. I don't think that's going to do any different, but we will try it. Pulumi. Oh. Take care, Mark. Thank you very much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Have a good one. Nope, creating failed. It's the remote image. That's the challenge. Unable to pull image. Denied. Okay, so I'm going to go back and validate. Sim interview here got the ratings willing to lead 10 out of 10, ability to lead 1 out of 10. I think he had a point, but he also proved he lacked social competence. Generate no token, classic token, write packages, read packages, test token, read packages. What's the thing here? I don't see anything particularly challenging here. Generate token, copy that token. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do IaC and set default staging DHCR path. Secret. Pulumi down. Pulumi up. Just being able to do this is very useful. I don't expect this to pass anymore, but we'll see. Yep, creating failed. Remote image. Hold on. No, denied. Okay, so it's denying. Now, there was no difference between that. The image. Image name. So that's for building an image. So remote image seems to be the right thing. Unless this Pulumi secret's not working correctly. Oh, no, because that's the image name pulling from IaC IO, right? Oh no, that's not it though, is it? I don't believe that's the difference. I read something and it was like that's the address or something. So I think that's no better. Yeah. Able to read Docker image into resource. Pulumi. Hey, Cronny, how you doing? Welcome in. Fetching this guy client could be some permission issue. Yeah, so it is denied. I have got I've tested the different access tokens. This is correct. Move this over here. This is all new, so IaC and get default staging. GHCR pat is the secret. Can I validate the secret? Pulumi concepts. How do I validate that? I do it. Hold on. Let's do a different way. Let's see if it. I think that the CLI tool is right, but I'm gonna try it using Pulumi directly and see if it changes the behavior. So Pulumi config set -- secret GHCR pat. Okay. Pulumi. Oh. Yes. Oh, creating failed. Let's see if it. Image GHCR TBD develop. Error pulling image. Unauthorized. Yeah, that makes sense. So does that mean I can? No, I need to pull the packet. I need to figure out all that, right? But let me. Config require. Pulumi. Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that on the screen. I mean, again, it wouldn't matter if you had this pat because the pat has read access to the package, and even if you could do it, it wouldn't make a difference. But Pulumi. So Pulumi IaC using CCLI, get started. So what I'm looking for right this second is an idea of if there is any storage for your secrets, store by the editor. No, does that go? Environments, stacks, the config. Huh. Ah. Is that? No, running in a local Kubernetes machine is the deployment. So what I'm trying to do is I've been building an application to project management. And I'm at the stage where it's useful enough that I want to deploy a version of it. So I have a little machine here. No, creating failed. Remote image. I have a little machine here that is hosting Kubernetes, and I'm trying to deploy to that. So that is here. Come on. That's interesting. It's doing it's setting the ingress now. Why is it doing ingress now? It didn't do ingress before. the normal content of this stream, if you've not been in here before, is development of a .NET application for doing project management with a Angular front end. I'm trying to get to the point of deploying the application by at least deploying the Angular app. So yesterday we built the client, and we got the Docker image of that built. So we have, be careful there. We have the package. It's private GitHub container registry, and this is what I'm trying to pull. Right. So personal access token classic, read packages, and this is all I need. So the path I've got has that. So what am I missing? I can go back over there. Why is this not pulling me down? Yes. What I could do, let me see. Yeah, so the idea is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the code for doing the deployment in here, right? So this is, right now, this is one piece. This is just a website. The actual application stack is many more pieces, right? It's a distributed system. It looks like this in its full form. This is the piece I'm working on right this second. And then ultimately we get to the point of deploying all these other pieces, all these databases, Kafka, all these different services will be deployed and used. And that's the goal over the next couple of weeks, to get that up and running. So planning, tasks, tenant management, attachments, notifications, they all have configuration, they all have all sorts of other stuff. So baby steps. So step one, get image pulling. Yes, yeah, you can. This is using TypeScript. You can use Pulumi and C#. And I'm using TypeScript because it seems to be the advanced one. You can use Go. You can use Python. They all support. It's supported. But the idea is that I can go and I can see my deployments right in here. I can see the stacks that I've deployed to, and it will show me all the resources and everything that I've created. So if I bring this up again, you'll see resources appear, so I can see that. Relic Fades, hello, how you doing? Infrastructure as code. So it is the Shahid, thank you very much for the follow, by the way. Welcome in. It is defining the infrastructure components of your system as actual code that is executed and runs. This allows me to do this without creating Helm charts and messing with all those things in Kubernetes. So yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to deploy this a a website, and success is when I can go to a public URL and hit the and see the login screen for Liquid Sky. So over the next couple of days, well, the stack is uploaded to the cloud. Then, from my understanding, can you upload the stack and state in your storage? Well, you're uploading the configuration to their cloud with Pulumi, right? So, and it keeps track of all that information. Yeah, so you can see it. You can actually run the deployment from here as well. I believe. Yeah, you can if you set it up correctly. So right now I'm deploying to a local Kubernetes bot, so that's not ideal, but it at least stores the configuration so I can see it all, right? So yeah, that's the goal there. But sorry, I'm just if I do this, um, back new file index.ts. I want to verify I'm getting that thing. Right. I'm going to pull this off the screen just in case. I'm trying to practice those security things as well. Pulumi up. What? What did what did I create? Yeah, so obviously the downside here is that you they do track everything you're doing, right? So it's not perfect because your stuff is going to their cloud. You have to be logged into them. So you lose a little control. Now you can use things like what's the other one? There are other methods of doing this. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Um, but the general concept is that infrastructure as code is where it needs to be, or where it can be. Pulumi see. So that won't let me pull this. Pulumi.interpolate. Pulumi interpolate. Really? That's that's that. Okay. That's a weird structure. Um, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to validate to see if I see that appear on the screen, and it doesn't do it. No, I don't want to. It won't do this. So maybe if I do const value equals that, and then do that. or get during an update or preview. So that's not going to get me. That's not going to resolve anything. That's just going to do the same thing. It's outputting nothing on the screen. It's not that. I'd like to see an error. That's what I'm looking for, an error on trying to get that. It looks like it'll just return nothing if it's not. It doesn't interpolate anything there, so it's just doing derp. So I would try interpolation. It refuses to do it. It refuses to output that. Delete. Rename. So what do I do here? It's trying to pull it. I don't think. No, because we needed that because we didn't have the provider for the image. Because it doesn't go here, but you can't put the provider in the deployment, so that's going to be interesting. But it's not pulling that, so is it? Pulumi not using secret or access token Docker.provider. I don't want to build. So it does look like you can actually use Pulumi to do the build of the image as well, which is kind of an interesting idea. Because I assume then it'll pull the repo and do the build. There's lots of different ideas on how to do this. They have and it looks like the API has evolved on this. Now the hold on. Hold on. Docker remote image. Dynamic updates. Basic. Sorry. Get rid of that. They have. So it has auth configs. Nope, it doesn't have auth configs. That's weird. So their documentation on remote image build type, auth configs. I'm trying to figure out the structure here, but keep low key is a boolean. It complains about that. So they're showing remote image resource, blah, build. We're not building it though. I suppose we're not building it, right? But then they show that. So their documentation doesn't even show this style. So bag of options that controls this resource's behavior. Provider is Docker provider. Okay, so that does make sense. Okay, well, I'm running out of time fast here. Thank you for the lunch, houses. Chat. Yeah, houses. I appreciate it. Like, oh no, that wants to do that. Hey, Napalm, how you doing? Okay. I don't want to cache the image. Remote image, custom resource options. Registry auth. Is there a token instead of a like? Is config file password? Yeah, so password is the right field. Is TBD developed the right? It has to be because there's no other username. Command GitHub container registry pull Pulumi private repo. (2020). Again, I think that a lot of this stuff just changes. I don't know how to decipher this because every example comes. Stranahold would know this one. So yeah, username is your GitHub login account. CR parties generated token. Okay, so let me do this. I go over here. Sudo echo. Sounds like it's time to write a Medium article on how to do this in 2025. And don't keep it up to date when things change. So the challenge I'm having, Napalm, is that I've got a private repo, a private image up on GitHub container registry, and I'm trying to use Pulumi to. It won't let you link. If you whisper me the link, it'll let me. If it's a private container registry, this is meant to work. I can't validate that it's going to pull this because it doesn't show me. It can't show me. It's a secret. And it's saying access denied for the thing. Git bash. This will work. Sudo echo cr login gcr. Yeah, container registry isn't great for these things, if I recall. Stunning. I have the option of pushing it to. I can create repos, private repos in Docker. But in theory, this should work. Okay. Well, I do not have infinite time today, unfortunately. I didn't change my mind. I realized that GitHub Container Registry was there, and I could use that because it would be easier than messing around with trying to push to Docker on the stream. And a container registry is a container registry, right? I wanted to get to this part, the Pulumi component, and I think we can start to see where it's going. Yeah, Kubernetes locally. Yeah, so it's yeah. So it should work. Yeah, right. But I'm not trying to build this to I want to build this and learn the pieces I need to do to get this in the very near future, building and deploying it as part of the process, right? If I do a local registry, and I've got this configured and Mojo is working on pieces, then that local registry doesn't help me if I have to force configuration and setup on Mojo as well. It's too much from a development perspective. That's too much of a mess. So the goal here is that basically I could give Mojo the access to be able to pull this and run a local instance of Liquid Sky based off this, if temporarily while we're developing stuff. Yeah, and it's like you can get Kubernetes running, and you can get registries running inside of desktop. But yeah, but I was hoping to get this. That would have been awesome if this had pulled, because I knew there was more to do, the ingress and stuff. I wasn't just going to magically go to the IP address of the server and get Liquid Sky login page. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I was hoping at least I'd have a complete deployment. So learning how containers fit in deployments, like that doesn't work. It won't let you pass in this instance into there. So maybe there's other things I need to do there. Figuring out the Docker provider here will be useful. Yeah. So that is it for now. If you're on YouTube, thank you very much for hanging out. It looks like there has been people there the entire time. I appreciate that. Thing with Pulumi that's tricky is the promise type stuff and how it works, due to sometimes dependencies across resources require the name to be available or predecessor resources, so it cannot run synchronously. Huh. Well, I will get there, right? I will learn what I don't know. And that's the point, right? The point is that this is going to be a necessary component of building Liquid Sky. So while we're at a point where we can use the application to plan the application, now is a good time to get a version deployed. Yeah. Yeah. I will I'm going to keep persevering. Again, the oh, by the way, there is a reason why on my stream there is an emote. Where are you? There you go. That's it. It was quite obvious when I first started streaming. Like people will like read this. I'm like, no, I can do it. Reading manuals is not something I enjoy doing because it's, and even though today I've found that the documentation is not quite correct either. So yeah. But anyway, we need to. Yeah, I waited long enough. Okay, we're going to go raid to Frank. Don't forget, it is Friday. One Lion streams community day stream on Friday, which is an awesome place to go hang out. If you like .NET code, if you like application building and discussion, that is a great place to be. If you've not been in here before, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it. You're always welcome to ask questions. You're always welcome to pass an opinion on what I'm doing. If you think I'm doing something wrong, as long as it's constructive and not just negative, I'm always good with that. And I appreciate all help I do get. Who does? I'd say docs are terrible. Can't say that if I don't have to read them. Well, I do. I can quickly. I do have an ability to scan and read. I just don't like reading in depth to try. But I realize that I have to understand the piece I don't know to focus the reading so that I can pay attention more. So that's my excuse anyway, and I'm sticking with it. But anyway, we're gonna read. Not gonna read provider default provider. We're gonna read Frank. I have to go. I have work to do. Thank you for joining me. Have a great weekend. Hopefully by Monday I have some of this resolved. If you're interested, I will post any solutions I get to in Discord. You're more than welcome to join the Discord and hang out there as well. We do get together and chat in there quite frequently through the week. So take care all. Have a great weekend. I will see you again soon. And yeah, thanks for the help. Bye.